that thinking has changed a lot. And one I find interesting for people, if you get yourself tested at a clinic, they can tell you that you're allergic to legumes, but really have only tested kidney beans and 1 or 2 beans, and there are like 20 beans we eat. And so that can be very problematic for vegetarians and vegans. And you should really find out from the lab if they said you're allergic to legumes, whether they actually tested for a lot of them or just 1 or 2. Now, celiac disease, we're just about done here. It's important to avoid the gluten-containing grains, and people need to replenish their nourishments and heal the intestinal wall. You can get enough protein unless you're eating a kind of junk food diet or have a lot of malabsorption problems. And there are certainly good gluten-free grains. These are the last few slides are just about food. I was enchanted by these flags from different parts of the world. But we found that in many parts of the world there are wonderful recipes and foods that focus on the hypoallergenic, the low tendency to allergy foods. And these were some of the recipes that we put in the food allergy book. And breakfast can be really problematic. People can cook gluten-free grains, make smoothies, and end up with a lot of different really excellent combinations through the day. In our raw book, it also ended up being a kind of hypoallergenic book. And that's our website. Now, I think we might have 5 minutes. I'm not sure if we do or not. If you want to ask any questions or things that, yeah.
I was just wondering about, because you were talking about the intestine, different 2 questions. One is that we talk about the large and small intestine as far as problems of cleaning out. Absorption.
Well, the absorption is done in the small intestine.
Right.
Yeah. So
if people have antibiotics or whatever, that would affect both?
It would affect it would affect what bacteria are in there, high up, and that would affect what's in there low down. But the absorption happens higher up.
So having colonic irrigation,
yeah.
Would that, could that, because you're saying about putting back some good bacteria, but if you just have colonic irrigation, that's the lower.
Okay, he's asking about colonic irrigations, and I, to tell you the truth, don't know that much about them. I'm not an expert, so I shouldn't answer that. Okay, yes?
Do you have any data about the accuracy of the IgE blood testing for...
Oh, that's a good question. Okay, the testing is just a little nightmare. I think we're in about the kindergarten. Do come up and look at books if you want. But we're in kind of a very pre-kindergarten stage in testing, and probably about 5 to 50% of the different tests can be false positives and false negatives. Like none of the tests are perfect. So we've written a little bit about the kind of tests, and you're certainly welcome to come and look at it. But they're tricky because you'll end up, and if you do a test 1 year and then have another set the next year, you can show up different things. But and sometimes that reflects real changes. It's not a very, like, the gold standard is to leave the food out, see if you get a reaction, and you put it back in. Or else just leave it out and get better.
Just to add anecdotal evidence, so for other audiences, I have done this testing 3 times, as I told you, as I understand.
Yeah.
And each time I found it to be quite accurate. And when I left out all those foods, I felt thousands of % better.
Right. Oh, that's good. Well,
just with 1 blood test, this is a real relief.
That's great. And tell people which one that was.
This was it was through the Allergy company in the United States, but you must look for the IgE. This is the IgE.
The IgE test.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Right. Are there any more? Yes.
Are there existing any examinations or surveys to the effect of genetically manipulated organism? especially crops and other.
There have
soil?
been whole research studies, conferences on genetic modification and allergy. And they seem, I've seen, I mean, they were very concerned with that starling corn, because that caused some deaths. But when you read things from the scientific conferences, they were attended by places like Monsanto and even supported by. And I couldn't tell how accurate their conference, like the statements they put out were.
Maybe the effect will be shown in the future.
That's right.
Yes.
We're quite concerned about that.
Monsanto is not going to support
Yes,
this.
No,
Monsanto.
that's right.
Monsanto.
I think I need to step aside for the next speaker, but thank you very much.